Hi, I'm Damien, and today I want to talk about type 2s. So I'm going to talk about an incident with type 2 that I had recently. So I was hanging out with this type 2, and there was some other people who were going to come, but initially it was just me and him. And so at one point he said, "Oh damn, blah blah's not coming. The only reason I wanted to stay out late tonight was to see blah blah. I haven't seen him in ages." And at that time it was just me and him there, and I thought to myself, some people could interpret that really badly. Like, man, I don't want to hang out with you type of thing. But I took it to mean that he said stay out late. So I thought he took it to mean like this other guy was going to come later on in the night, and he would have been hanging out with me anyway. And we might have finished earlier, like we might have just called it a night earlier. That's the way I took it to mean. But yeah, I mean, obviously other people might have interpreted it different ways. I actually think that it was meant the positive way that I interpreted it. I thought it was meant that way. I wouldn't have said it in a way personally that could have been misinterpreted. And I think the type 2s, they generally don't say things that can be, like they try to establish, you know, they go out of their way to make people like them. They don't say things, except, you know, they definitely do, they're extremely defensive. They'll say terrible things defensively towards people. You know, their concept of they're being attacked, often they're not being attacked, but they'll oversensitivity attack people back. In their mind, attack people back, but really they're being oversensitive. So, yeah, they normally don't go out of their way to say, they're normally quite tactful people. They have a lot of tact, relatively. So I think, but, you know, when it comes, I think he was really expressing that desire to want to connect with people, like to establish very specific relationships, you know, like that the type 2s, they are constantly trying to do that, to establish the relationships that will help them. They want to be connected to the powerful people. And so, you know, he saw that guy coming as an opportunity for him to reestablish a connection, to strengthen a connection, and to be like, see, this guy's my friend too. See, yeah. Ooh. And so that meant a lot to him. And so that's, knowing that should actually help me. It should be like, okay, so, you know, that's why he's saying something that could be interpreted untactfully at this moment. He's just expressing that real inner wish to see this guy, and that comes from a lot of that type 2, very intentional with their relationships mindset. They're very much trying to suck up to the powerful people. You could use a better word than suck up that doesn't have the negative connotation. Anyway, so also though, like this guy very much was, you know, when this other guy turned up, who was equally my friend as this guy's friend, he really tried to monopolize the conversation with that guy. So it was like three of us then, me, the type 2, and this other guy. And I knew he was going to do this to begin with because I'd seen him do this in the past, and I'd seen other type 2s do things like this in the past. And so I knew that like he was going to be, you know, all over this guy as though I wasn't even there. And that's what happened. And he was totally all over this guy. And that is kind of comes across as sounding very, like, guys, socially, we don't say things like that. We don't say, it's the you didn't even pay attention to me. All you did was talk to him as though I wasn't even there. You know, traditionally we hear females say things like that, or it's socially acceptable for females to say things like that. And so from the, emotional standpoint, like I saw all this coming, but, and I didn't, end of the day, I really don't care. So I could be the stoic male archetype, and but I don't want to necessarily say that it is the stoic female. I mean, it is the archetype of the female to complain about things like that. It is just a factual reality. Like, he certainly, if you measured the amount of words that he was saying and who he was saying them to, and you measured the amount of changes in topics and who was bringing those topics, basically who he was bringing those topics, who was directing those topics for, like he was trying to find out things that related to that guy. He was asking that guy lots of questions. So this is very much a measurable objective. You easily, if you had recorded it, which is totally capable with today's technology, objectively measured these things. And so, yeah, and it doesn't really matter whether it's right or wrong to be aware of these facts that are happening. These are facts that are happening. And so he was definitely trying to monopolize the guy, focus on the guy, find everything out about the guy that he wanted to know about the guy, asking a lot of personal information to the guy. And it certainly in his mind, like, he was annoyed by the fact that I was there, involved in that conversation. And I knew he was too, and knew he was gonna be, and I was just like, because he hadn't seen this guy for a while, and he sees me more regularly, and I think it's also a good example of kind of type 2 behavior that is socially inappropriate, and it's type 2, generally speaking. Like I said, they're tactful. They're people that kind of socially often, the people that are seen as socially capable, socially aware, they're often seen as that. But, and it's the motives, the same motives that make them seen like that, the same drives in them that develop those type of behaviors that make people look at them as like the tactful, the socially capable type of person, can also go the wrong way, and they can do things like that, like, because very many people would have felt, even if they didn't verbalize it to anyone, they would have felt like, they just would have been like a typical guy response would have been like, yeah, I was hanging out with blah blah on a weekend, and yeah, I don't really like him. He was always sucking up to blah blah. Oh, he just kept sucking up to blah blah. Didn't really pay attention to anything I said. And one of the things too, like he would shut me down. He would, because just in his mindset, it was just like it was like, there's this guy here, he's in front of me, and it's just like, it was like sort of an overexcitement, like he had to grab a hold of this guy, be like, oh, this is my time with him, and I'm on him, and there's anything that I came up with, and it was just, whereas really, like, if you're in a group social situation, you have to be aware of the group as a whole and include everybody and be involved with everybody. It is true that particular people might be more relevant in particular conversations at particular times, but you still have to have that awareness of the whole. And this is something that the type 2s can do quite a lot, and it actually makes them look worse. And if you are a type 2 and you're listening to this, I really want to emphasize how bad it makes you look, because what's happening is everyone is seeing the way that you're behaving. Everyone is seeing that you're trying to get on with this guy. You're trying to get involved with this guy. You're trying to create a relationship with this guy or this girl, or this rapport with this guy or girl. And they can see that you're want to do that. Your super strong desire to do that, your super massive enthusiasm to do that is causing you to behave in ways that are not socially appropriate, that make you look like you're rude, make you look like you're over anxious, And you know, a lot of people, some people would like that, have someone coming at them full ball and asking them millions of questions and trying to find everything about them, being super excited and interested in everything they say. Some people do like that, like, but if you do have a relationship with someone that likes that, that kind of relationship might be a one of those relationships where the reason why the two people can connect is that they both appeal to each other's weaknesses. Like they both, and it's not likely that it's going to be very healthy. Like if you want to have a healthy relationship with someone, you probably don't want to have it with someone that's really wants someone that's totally sucking up to them, that's like hanging on their every word, that's doing that. And yeah, he kept saying things like, every time I would say something, he would follow it with, obviously this, well, obviously, and I don't know what I said, even if it was like something really obscure. He would be like, obviously, just to try to shut me down and be like, you shouldn't be, basically emotionally want to be like, you shouldn't be talking, this is my time with blah, blah, I'm having a conversation with him, shut up, Damien. That's what was happening. And I'm probably exaggerating it, but because it wasn't that offensive. And at one point, like, I knew too that like you can't let this guy give you shit, because that's inappropriate either. Like I knew that he was going to behave like that, and I had to sort of let him have that rope for his own personality. And at one point when he said that obviously stuff, another time I was like, I don't think that was fucking obvious. I think that was a fucking good statement. And then I just sort of laughed, and the other guy laughed, and he didn't say anything, and it was pretty funny. It was just like, and I just let him do his thing, and yeah, it was pretty intense. Yeah, it's kind of like, when a dog is just jumping up all over someone, like they really love them. And yeah, he was basically doing that to a person because he wanted to establish that relationship and whatnot, and he wanted to connect with them. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to establish relationships. There's nothing wrong with wanting to connect to people. But there is something wrong with shutting people out, not wanting other people to be involved in a group conversation when you're in a group. And then another guy came at another point, and there was 4 of us. There was the type 2, the guy that type 2 was jumping all over, and me and the other guy, and it was the same thing with this other guy here. The other guy basically said nothing and just sat there while he just interrogated the type 2 interrogated the target person, and me and the other guy just sort of sat there and waited, because he had so much kind of just intensity that yeah, it was hard to, it was hard, it was very dominating of the whole group. And to some extent it's not such a bad thing, like you get to know people and you sort of have to put up with their quirks, and it's not like you necessarily have to put up with it like it's such a terrible thing. You just accept a lot of these things. But at the same time, if he was more aware of that behavior and mindful of that behavior, he would have a better relationship with his target person and these other 2 people at the group. And these other 2 people at some points in history and maybe in the future will be his target person. Let's say one of them goes overseas and he hasn't seen him for a while or something. So, like, there's certain rules, there's certain correct ways to behave. If you're not doing that, it's going to be detrimental to you. And for the long run, and the goals that you want, the things that you want, usually the best way to pursue them is in a way that is actually caring about other people and caring about what's acceptable and the right way to behave. Anyway, that's about it. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to entitle this video. It's just a little incident that I had with type 2 recently. It's 2019. Please subscribe and press the like button.